Bounce Gang.
This has been a while since I've done this. I don't know how to actually start. It's been how many?
I think we're all in the same boat, especially.
I don't know how to kick this off, but welcome back to Fresh Mondays podcast. My name is Marley, and we are back with an amazing story of where we've been in this hiatus, and then we definitely have seen you guys cheering us on. I want to welcome back the amazing co-host of Fresh Mondays podcast, Diana.
Hi, everybody. What's up? Please, I apologize for my voice. You're going to hear it hopping in and out, and I'm going to explain why my voice is so hoarse. But I'm so happy to be back. We're back doing what we do with our Fresh Mondays podcast. And thank you so much for everybody who follows, subscribes, and make sure to support. As Marley said, we know we've been seeing the love. We've been seeing you guys hitting us up. A lot of people have been asking a lot of questions. When is the new episode coming out? And finally, we are here.
We are here. And so what we want to touch on is where we've been, what's been going on in both lives, because I can chime in as well. And kind of what, especially Diana has been experiencing, I guess, in the past 3-4 weeks, month.
I would say
I lost count.
We're hitting definitely a solid 2 months.
Are we?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm terrible with time and things like that, so don't worry me.
By the way, this is episode 65, Marley, by the way.
Yeah, I was at 50 still. But so also we have special guests in the room, so we don't want to forget that. We do have special guests. Special guests to the right of Diana. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Robert. I am the boyfriend.
The boyfriend. I love how this is in characters, by the way.
Right.
The characters. And then to the right of Robert, introduce yourself, right?
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm Diana's friend.
Character number 2, the friends.
So, by the way, these are character witnesses to the story. For the validity of the story, this is pretty much what's going on, guys.
So, without further ado, Diana, I guess let's start from, do we want to start from the beginning or the end? Where we're now?
We can definitely start by saying the reason that I was unavailable was because I had a very tragic experience. So we could definitely just jump right into it. As you guys know, our podcast, we want to dedicate it to enriching people and to give people information, not only with their entrepreneurship, not only with their dreams, not only with trying to figure things out as far as being a savvy business person or knowing how to grow in a financial sense, but we also want people to have awareness about their health and how to stay in a healthy state physically and mentally. And the reason I'm going to go ahead and talk about this is because I think that in a way, my experience allowed me to learn a lot about my health and about what can happen when things go wrong. So just to start off, I guess I can explain, as you guys may know, those who are close to me, those who may have heard through a friend, I recently went through a pretty tragic medical experience where I had to have multiple surgeries in order to kind of save my life. So I'll start with that. So the way that it started was, the reason my boyfriend and my friend are here is because they were here throughout the experience. And they're going to be able to tell you guys what it's like to be on the outside. I'm the person that went through it. And then these are the people who are here to see and to be the support system for me. And I think that way it can kind of give you a full story.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that it started with me, I had a really bad stomach ache on a Monday, right? On a Monday night. And my stomach ache started at 12 midnight, 1 in the morning. And I still had a stomach ache 2-3 hours later. And I thought I was going to be okay. I said, you know what, I'll be fine. Let me drink something. I drank painkillers. I drank tea.
Yeah.
So I was convinced that I was going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then Robert, my boyfriend, he basically said, we have to go to the ER. Side note, I hate going to the emergency room. I feel like you waste a lot of time there. They usually tell you nothing is wrong. Well, usually in my life, things are never usually wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and at the end of the day, I don't really like hospitals, just like a lot of other people in our age bracket. We kind of just take things for granted.
Sure.
So I didn't want to go to the hospital, and he convinced me. So when we got to the ER, we were both just not taking it seriously. To make a long story short, they ended up telling me I had to stay and I had to be admitted. So when I was admitted, they said that I was having some type of a, how can I say this delicately without giving too much details? My body was not reacting well, and that they needed to make sure to see what was going on. So they did a few CAT scans, they did a few, what else? They did that when they put you in the machine, they did an MRI, right? So when they did that, a surgeon ended up coming to the hospital room where I was at and told me that they can't see what was going on, but it seemed like there was an obstruction inside my body, and that the only way they can truly see what was going on was by performing surgery. At first I was apprehensive for shallow reasons because I don't want a scar. And I was like, is there anything we could do? Can we just wait? You know what I mean? Can I take some medication? I started throwing up out of control. I started having all kinds of pains. I think I almost had a heart attack if I could be real with you. And then they ended up giving me surgery. At this point, things started getting a little hazy. And this is when things got a little complicated. And this is when my family and my boyfriend had to experience a lot of difficult news. So I would say, I mean, if you can kind of explain how you received the information.
Sure. I mean, from the beginning, I have the same, I guess, sentiment towards going to the emergency room. I was not a fan of it, but just seeing the type of pain that Diana was experiencing, I said, you know what, we should go to the emergency room. What's the worst that can happen? You know, we spend like 2-4 hours and then we go home. So I had no idea that this was going to be the very beginning of a large storm. But it was actually a really good decision that we went into the emergency room and that they ended up discovering a very serious issue. So we did that, and things just, you know, one thing led to another thing, and then she ended up having to have a couple different very serious procedures.
Right.
Again, you know, in the very beginning, we had no idea that this was going to be such a serious event. You know, we were there thinking we're going to be there for a couple of hours and then we're going to get to go home. But that really wasn't the case.
Right. Because what happened was, like, I had one surgery, and then when I woke up from surgery, shortly after, they were telling me we have to do another emergency surgery. And I would say that was within like a 12-hour time frame. Like, I don't even want to quote exact time because, you know, I was out of it when you wake up and it takes time for you to kind of realize what's going on. And my surgeon was like, you know, basically something is wrong. We need to go back. So when they went back, they went in back to back. So I think I had the next two surgery 2 and 3 were literally like
within that time frame.
I think it was like the same day of the week type of thing.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot for a body to handle in general, for anyone's body physically to handle. I want to commend, of course, the boyfriend, the character in this, of pushing people who are like, even like myself, I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to like going to the hospital, going to the doctors. I'm almost like I think a lot of us are, where we're like adults, you're just like kind of like, this will all heal itself. It'll all just go away. Especially if you've like already felt that pain once or twice before in the past, and it's kind of hard.
Like, I've been through this. Like, this shouldn't be a big deal.
Right.
But when I saw Diana hold on to the wall, that's when I said, you know what, we should definitely go to.
That was the peak point of like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice. When you have to cringe and hold on to the wall, guys, you need to go to the ER. Like,
yeah,
that's when it gets scary. That's where it's, especially if it's painful, because it was pain, or it was just like,
it was excruciating pain. Like, to be honest with you, I feel like I'm a straight punk now. Like, I don't even know if I could do like natural childbirth because it was such a crazy pain. I would never want to feel anything like that again in my life. So it was kind of like, I feel like I took my youth for granted. Like, you know, when you're young, you always assume that nothing is going to happen to you. Like, you don't think of your mortality. You don't think of passing away. You don't think of illnesses. You just don't think that way. You know what I mean? And like, even especially when you're like in your early 20s, you drink like crazy, you eat a lot of junk, you know what I'm saying? And then as you get older, you kind of slow that kind of stuff down because you realize the long-term effects. And I would say that was kind of something that I was experiencing, that it's like, you know what? I was cocky. I was like, I'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, nothing's ever wrong with me. And it ended up being another situation. So
there's always an ongoing joke that I've seen before on Twitter where they say, you're like a teenager, your mom makes all your doctor's appointments, all your dentists and blah, blah, blah. The moment you hit like 20 something, 30, you ain't making none of those appointments. There is no one there. You're just like, God, just save me out here. I'm going to make it out here. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to survive all of this. And that's kind of how we are. Like through your 20s and like some of your 30s, you're just like, we just out here surviving. We make it. I don't have to go to all of that. So
a lot of people don't have insurance because they don't got good jobs also when they're young. So it's like that has a lot to do with it too.
Well, I think also like what happens is as you hit 30 and you get older from there, the reality of death becomes more real in your life, so you start taking things a little bit more serious. When you're mid 30s and you're approaching 40, you start taking more preventative measures. So that's
especially when people around you are passing away from certain things that you're just like, that's random. Or like what do you mean that person had cancer? Like super just random things start happening when you start getting older. More people start passing away. And that's when you start realizing.
You start realizing your family history and you're actually paying attention. When you were young and they were telling you, your uncle, your grandma, your father might have this. But then when you're in your 30s, you're like, wow, I can really genetically have this as well.
Like it's for real. I could be passed down to me.
Exactly. And you start paying more attention.
That's very, very true.
Right. So to get back to the timeline, after like surgery 3, my family, I guess that's when my family started flying in. Thank you so much to my family. Support systems are really big in these situations because you don't realize how important it is for people to cheer you on the sidelines when you go through things like this, until you think about what would this be like if I was by myself in this room? You know what I mean? Like, what would it feel like if I woke up from the surgery and nobody came to visit me and nobody was checking on me? Like, it's a really big deal. So it's like, I feel like at that time, my family being present, it was a huge part of my recovery. So during this experience, unfortunately, I had to continue getting surgery. So surgery 4 and 5 was complicated as well. And I couldn't speak. That's the reason why I'm having this issue with my voice, and my vocal cords were, I would say, a little traumatized from all the intubations. Because an intubation is what they do when they provide oxygen to your lungs when you're getting surgery. So they put a tube in your throat to allow you to breathe while you're getting surgery. One of the worst things about being intubated is if you're not breathing correctly, you have to be awake when they take the tube out, which I went through. And that's terrible. Yeah, it's really bad. But if you're lucky, they can take it out before you wake up. So a few times I had to be awake when they were taking it out, because remember, this is a lot of surgeries. So during this whole time, I wasn't allowed to speak, or better said, I couldn't speak. So I was kind of communicating, trying to write things down, trying to have text. That wasn't easy at all. So that was hard for like the people who were concerned about me to see, because they were like, what's happening here? So as that was going on, I wasn't allowed to consume anything via my mouth. I couldn't drink water. I couldn't eat ice chips. I couldn't consume food. I was on a bunch of IVs and like things that were just keeping me alive. And that is, when I tell you, that's the realest thing a person can go through, that you take for granted that you can drink water every single day. And when you're not allowed to even take a sip of water and your throat's on fire because you just went through like the craziest experience of somebody ripping a tube out of your throat, and you can't even take a sip of water, that it changes you. It kind of just changes the perspective on a lot of things in life. And I feel like those were the moments that were the hardest for me, because they kept on telling me, but we're not finished. We still have to continue doing more surgeries. So it was very difficult for myself and for the people around me, because it's like, when is this gonna all end? Everybody started telling me that we had people praying. I had family coming in from Puerto Rico, family coming from the Dominican Republic, and they were just, all taking shifts, staying with me. He stayed with me almost every single night in the hospital. And when he did it, my father did. So in total, I was in the hospital for 50 days. The entire 50 days I was there, I didn't sleep alone, not one night. And that's because my dad or my boyfriend stayed with me every single night, because they didn't want to allow me to be by myself.
No, of course. And not a lot of people we were talking about not knowing family history, but not a lot of people also experience situations like this where you have to be a support system for someone going through this. And for like I myself have never had a surgery before, right? So I don't, and I can imagine you yourself just never been through that kind of situation where you don't know where this is going to end. Like, where's the finish line to having all of these situations? And so also for the family members also in the support system, like not knowing when it's going to end, but being still supportive and encouraging, I guess. And that's not, I don't know if that's the right word, but just still be like that stone that be like, we're going to get through this. We're going to get past it, because even you guys have no idea what's happening, right?
Yeah, just to piggyback on this whole support system thing, and I'm very grateful as well that she has, you know, a family that is very supportive, because when she was in ICU, just walking around, you know, the different units that are in the ICU section, noticing how many individuals were in very critical condition and were there by themselves and did not have family. Let me tell you, Diana has had someone in that room nonstop. There was always someone in that room. If it wasn't me, it was her father. If it wasn't her father, it was her mom, her tia, abuela, you know, Estefania. It was very humbling, and I'm very grateful to see that the girl that I love had nothing but continuous support throughout this experience. And it was a learning situation for me to know the importance of having a support system, because there were moments where I needed some support, you know, and it actually made me a little bit more grateful to having, you know, friends, and realizing how important it is to have really good friends around you. Sometimes when you're going through a traumatic experience, granted, she's the one that is going through the most traumatic experience, but coming from me, it was a very traumatic experience, not knowing what the outcome is going to be after all of this. Just to have someone to talk to and someone to just hear me out, you know. So I'm grateful for, she was there. Stephanie was a good friend to me, in which I could, you know, just call, hey, listen, man, I'm just going through a hard time. I just need to let you guys know, like, this is like, it seems like a never ending storm. And everyone else, and you know who you are, that was there, that I was able to, you know, just call and just talk, you know, just have someone that would just listen to me while I'm going through my experiences on my end.
Yeah. And Stephania, how did you, because I got a 6 a.m., 5 a.m. text message from Stephania saying, call me. And Stephania writing, call me. I was like, what is happening on the other side of the world to me? I was like, that's 4:00 in the morning. What is going on?
This is serious.
My time. 4:00 in the morning, my time. I was like, this is serious. She's texting.
So Robert, he had messaged me, and he just told me, you know, please keep Diana in your prayers. And when someone sends you that text message, you're like, okay, what is happening? Mind you, I haven't heard from Diana. Usually I talk to Diana pretty much every day, if not every other day. And I hadn't heard from her. And I thought she was traveling for some reason. So I just was like, okay, I haven't heard from her. And then he texted me, and then I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then I called him, and then that's when he told me what's happening. And I kind of paused, and I'm like, okay, how can I help the situation? I'm, you know, offering help just like everybody. Do you want me to go there? What do you want me to do? What do you need? Do you need me to take the dog? Do you need me to do, like, you know, just trying to figure a way I could be a support system to them. And he's like, just keep praying. And you know what? That's all I could do. And I was just there to support him, because it was so hard to see him being so broken by what was happening to her. And it was like a side effect. And I was just his ear. And if that's how he needed me and how he needed my help, then that was it. That was my role. And anytime he needed to call, 10:00 in the night, you know, 9:00 in the morning, you know, between breaks, like if he needed to just let it out, hey, I'm going to answer the phone. You don't even have to tell me, is it okay? Like, no, just, I'm going to be there and I'm going to answer. And that was my role. And every day I would text him, how's Diana? How's Diana? And again, it's the unknown that gets a little scary, because you don't have an answer. And it was frustrating, because it's a telephone game, you know, you don't, you know, they're telling him information, he's relating it to someone, and then someone is relating it to you. I'm texting you and telling you, you know, what's happening. So it's like, it's like playing telephone and you don't know what's happening. You wish you could just be there and just talk to the doctor, but they're not gonna talk to you. Yeah. So it was that every day. Every day.
And then which I'm very grateful for.
No, of course. And Stephanie, you being of help to Rob about him, like being able to kind of just scream out whatever he got to say or whatever pressure he has on him, helps him be helpful for Diana later.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I see it. You know, he's letting off his steam, whatever frustration he had, he was just letting it off on the phone. Like if he was sad, if he was mad, if he was okay, like, and then he was good at night when he went to the hospital. He was calm and he can handle whatever was going to be thrown at him that day or that night when he got there after work or during the day if he went during the day. Like he was ready.
Yeah. That's helpful. And that helps then reserve that energy for then him to be attentive to Diana and making sure she has that right energy in that room and that space also.
That's true.
And it's like when everybody walks into the room and like their eyes are puffy, but they're like smiling, like, "Oh, how are you?" Fine. But right,
it's gonna be okay.
Nothing's wrong. You'll be like,
yeah,
that's true.
And that was like common, like that was, which is understandable, you know what I mean? Like especially my parents. Like my parents were like having these conversations with the surgeon, where the surgeon was keeping it real with them and saying, "I don't know how this is gonna end up. Like this may not be a good result," you know what I mean? So for a parent to have to accept that, it was difficult for them as well. So it's like all of those things in combination with me understanding that every time you go into a surgery, you're taking a risk, period. It's just, it is what it is. Like it, and then me having to kind of pump myself up every single time I was going into surgery, I was just like, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna wake up. Me telling myself, I'm gonna wake up, it's gonna be all right. Because you have to have that attitude. You have to, there's no other option. Because if you start feeling like, oh, this is it, the mind is a very powerful thing. And if you keep telling yourself, this is it, it will be it. Like you have to fight through and you have to be strong, period. Like it's just, you wake up because you want to in any surgery. So if anybody is scared, you gotta be brave when it comes to things like that. You have to.
For sure. How's the recovery process now that you're home? And well, how's that looking like?
The recovery process was extremely difficult. After I had surgery 6 and 7, 6 was supposed to be the last one. And in general, what they were trying to do was close me up all the way on surgery 6. And they still couldn't because, in between the surgeries, by the way, everybody, I was never closed. So I was literally sitting on these beds and laying on these beds with an open wound the whole time.
Oh, man.
So by surgery 7, they were able to close my stomach all the way. Most painful thing in the world, felt like I got sawed in half. And they didn't want to give me like real strong painkillers because they don't want me to become an opiate addict.
Because the opiate crisis is crazy out here.
Correct.
So they're gonna.
So they had me on morphine, and that shit to me was like cookies. Like I was like, this isn't doing anything for me. Oh. That's how serious the pain was. So that in itself, like you have such a bad attitude. Like I was being rude to people. I was just like, I was depressed. Like it was just like I didn't want to see anybody. I wasn't answering my phone. I wasn't answering no texts. I didn't want anyone to see me. I just was in a dark place. So when I finally came out that surgery, they want you to start walking ASAP. Like it's not something like, oh, you can lay down and you can keep being on your back for all this time. It doesn't matter where you have surgery. As long as your legs are functional, you have to get up. And they make you stand up. Guys, it's not easy to stand up after having all these surgeries and after having, stitches in your abdomen. You know what I'm saying? Like it's difficult. So very humbling. I had to get physical therapy to just literally walk 20 steps. It's just, it was like starting over. Like it was crazy. Like my legs were so heavy. Of course I felt weak because I wasn't eating food. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it was just, I lost a hell of weight because, I didn't eat food for like 3.5 weeks. So I did reach my goal weight, but it wasn't the way I wanted to. You know what I mean? So it was just
looking at the brighter side of things.
Right. Yeah. I think we all lost weight. I lost weight too. I'm like, what's going on here? right? We all hit our goals. I didn't want them.
My dad, everybody lost weight. Like
Everyone lost weight.
Everyone lost weight. So it was, it was just hard, man. Like straight up. So like learning how to walk again. You know what I mean? Basically doing arm exercises, introducing liquid back into your body again. Miami sounds. So, just things like that, things that you just like, it's crazy, man. Like you need help to do everything. Like it's just when people have to bathe you, when people have to help you get up to use the bathroom, when they take the catheter off and they're saying, no more catheter because you got to stand up. Those moments that you're just like, oh my God, every time I have to pee, I have to get up. Like, it's just, you don't understand. Like your health is so important, man. Like you got to protect your body. You have to, like, you don't ever want to be in a position that you risk your body ever, because I know what it felt like to not be able to use my body fully. And it was the worst nightmare of my life. Yeah. It was horrible. Like you just feel like I'm a prisoner to this. Like it's crazy. But when I had like a team of people helping me, a team, like no joke. I had 24-hour nurses. I had, breathing therapists. I had physical therapists. I had people who were my pain managers. Like I swear on a daily basis, like 10 people that were on the clock, just making sure that I lived. It was just, my surgeon will see me every single day. He will sit there and talk to me and he'll be like, listen, you're going to be okay. You're going to be, like, it was a mental thing too. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of this has to do with your mental strength. So then through recovery, when I was able to finally accomplish certain things that you must accomplish, and not to be gross, you have to be able to have a bowel movement in order for you to be okay. And that shuts down too, because when you don't move, when you don't eat, you can't have bowel movements. You know what I mean? So it's like when you have to accomplish certain things that, once again, that we all take for granted. And fast forward to right now, when I was able to be released from the hospital, thank God, unfortunately, my wound has not closed all the way. So I have something called the wound vac to make sure that my wound heals. So that's part of my recovery. And this is the wound vac right here, for those of you who are watching. It's like a little machine.
Oh, I saw you wearing that earlier, and I was like, oh, she in fashion with the whole satchel thing real quick. You with the fanny pack satchel kind of thing, so you kind of in the mix.
I kind of am in the mix, and not many people can tell, so that does allow me to do small things. Like I can go, let's say I want to take a walk, and so it looks like I'm just wearing like a satchel or a bag, but it's actually a tube that's connected to my abdomen that's providing suction 24 hours a day to help the wound seal and my skin to mend itself again. So, it's better than where I was. You know what I mean? Even though this isn't ideal, it's way better than where I was.
Was the wound originally left open after the prior surgeries because they knew they were going to do more surgeries, or they weren't prepared? Okay. Wow. Yes.
They knew the job wasn't finished, basically.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking about that, like how they already know to leave something open, to be like that this is going to be a continuous process.
Yeah,
they're very careful is what they were doing. They were making sure that they didn't, like in the beginning, that they didn't close her up knowing that there could be another issue. They want to make sure that there wasn't going to be a continuous issue, which is why they left her open.
By the way, being the friend that's 3,000 miles away, I did Googling of the hospital just to make sure we were on standards. I'm one of those people would be like,
of course.
What's the
I'm very grateful. We're 10 minutes away from the hospital, and it is a very good hospital. We have another hospital that's maybe 15 minutes away, Jackson. But we would only, I always joke around saying, living in Miami, that's the only hospital you want to go to if you get shot. Because that's what they specialize in. Like,
we know. Well, those who know, those who know.
Their trauma center is extremely busy.
Yeah, like something happens to you in the Bahamas, they're gonna take you on a helicopter. They're gonna take you to Jackson.
That's the first one that comes. Yeah. I'm saying I was just doing my Googles and checking ratings.
Of course.
I'm like, I just want to make sure because that's not like you said, like that's not the standard usual hospital that people go to, depending on what circumstances you have.
Depending on the circumstances.
So that's why I was like, what's going on? Who we gotta pay?
We're pretty close to Jackson Memorial. Like we're pretty close because we live so close to downtown. So like when you live like in a centralized area like this, like you're close to everything. So we're close to Jackson. And if I would have called the ambulance, I probably would have ended up at Jackson. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up going to Mercy Hospital, which is in a Riquito neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to act like things like that don't matter. Like that does matter. If something's in a good area, you're probably going to have a better caliber of service.
Yeah.
I mean, we made it to the emergency room, I would say close to 3 in the morning.
Yeah, it was like 3:50.
And we were seen in 10 minutes. You know, we just had to sign some paperwork. If we would have gone to Jackson, in my opinion, nothing against them, I believe we would have been waiting for a couple of hours before being able to see a doctor. And that's usually the story, unless you got shot or something very traumatic happened.
Well, they always tell you don't go to Coral Springs, but we won't talk about.
West.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I'm sure.
Drive to the other town to get to where you
West.
Even if it takes you 10 more minutes, you make that drive to the next town over.
Yeah.
They always say.
Right.
Say that.
Well, I guess it's the difference between like a public hospital and like a hospital, a private hospital.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are major differences. And so as we continue, one major question I know that people are asking, where is Mr. Bentley himself in all of this? How does he feel?
Unfortunately, I can't handle his weight because he's about 75 pounds. So I can't like walk him. I can't like bend down. Well, I really, in general, I can't bend down. So anyone who's a dog owner, there's no way that you can have a dog without bending down. So you have to be able to kind of know when your limitations don't allow you to do something. So we all know I can't handle him. So luckily my mom is taking care of him until my recovery is over.
Okay, that's great. Oh, he must have missed you.
I miss him.
For sure.
For
I
sure.
can imagine, because dogs can feel all that energy also, like in a room, or like when the owner's missing, you know, when you're like packing your clothes, ready to go on vacation, they know what you're doing. They know that's luggage.
Yes,
they really know that's luggage.
They do.
And so you always wonder about his, you know, how he's kind of.
Right. And they can also tell, like, you know, this whole thing with emotional support animals that people are just taking it too far. And they're like, come on, you know what I mean? But your animal is your emotional support because they can tell if their owner is down. They can tell when you need a hug. Like there's been times that I've cried and my dog has licked the tears off my face. Like, you know what I mean? Like they know. Your dog knows. So it's like, I know if he was around me, he would know that something's up.
And so how does the continued support of your friends kind of push you forward throughout this journey of recovery? I mean, I know we just talked through via text, and I can just encourage, and you take your time when it comes especially to this project of Fresh Mondays podcast. But the help of everyone else around you, how does that keep you pushing for during this recovery time?
I think patience is the best reoccurring thing that I keep on getting from both of them. Just, it's okay. Like, it's going to be okay. Just focus on getting better, you know, instead of allowing yourself to be overwhelmed with this being a slow process. I don't think that if it wasn't for my support system reminding me to take things one step at a time, by nature, I'm a little bit of like una persona desesperada. So it's like, it's just difficult for me to like just sit back and let people do everything for me. It's hard for me. Aside from being a little bit of a control, you know, I have a little issue with control. You know what I'm saying? I can kind of say that out loud. So, you know, and so it's hard to like sit back and watch people do things for you when you have that type of personality. But, you know, it's just, patience is 100%. If it wasn't for my support system, I don't think I would have it.
Yeah, she's recovering very quickly. Because I'm seeing her week by week. Right now, she's doing great. And it's funny, earlier I was joking around. I was saying that, you know, sometimes she just does. And I'm like, I'm here. So I have to sometimes remind her that, listen, you know, we're all here to help. So, and then one thing that I like to do is just put things in perspective, for her. And I'm just bring to light how we should be grateful that she's actually here. She can walk, she can talk, and she can do. She's very capable. She still needs help, but as time goes on, she's becoming more and more capable to live her life. So.
No, definitely. Again, it's the positivity that I try to put out for her. And I know Diana and I are a lot alike. We very independent. We just like to handle things ourselves, whatever it is. Like, we're gonna handle it. Mm-hmm. And it's time for her to kind of just step back right now and let Robert handle whatever it is that needs to be handled. And she just needs to. I told her the other day, be on the bench real quick. Let him shoot the shot.
Be on the sidelines.
And just chill on the bench. Yeah.
Let him call the shots all the way here.
That's it. And then when it's your time, he's gonna tag you in, and then you're gonna go back in the game, and then he might be on the bench. But that's how you have to look at it. I mean, the partnership. Yeah. But her recovery has been amazing. I actually went on vacation and I hadn't seen her for probably a little more over a week and a half. Mm-hmm. And when I saw her last weekend, she was like a brand new woman. It was amazing.
Yeah, because she spent the day with me at the hospital. And when she was there, I know of course she's not saying anything, but I know the first time she saw me, it kind of broke her. She's like, oh God. She was like, I can't believe this.
It did.
It impacts you. It is impactful.
It is.
I'm trying to be strong with a smile on my face, I want to cry right now.
Because it's a lot to see somebody that that's fine, and all of a sudden to see them in a position like she saw me, and I totally get that. Mm-hmm. And she don't even know I was good then. You know what I mean? It was bad.
I missed weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So when I saw her last week, it was like a brand new person. Yeah. Her voice so much better. She had a glow to her. She just looked happier, and I don't know if it's because she's home.
It's because I'm eating food.
Yeah.
And it made me so happy. I just put a smile on my face, and I'm like, look at you, you look great. And she was moving around and walking and doing her thing, and it was just, it's like you're witnessing a miracle right before your eyes. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
And I, like she said, I didn't see her way before, so I can even imagine what Robert experience is totally different than mine. I thought I saw it at the worst, but I haven't. And to see, it's like a miracle just happening before your eyes every single day. And I'm sure he witnesses. I see it every week. He sees it every single day. And the other day she posted, she went on a walk, and I'm like, oh my God, you went on a walk.
That's what I was like, oh, she's out here. Yeah. I was like, let me give her a call because she's just doing things.
Yeah, exactly.
And guys, I was looking straight, not gross. And he was still telling me I was beautiful every day.
She is.
That's the little things, guys. That's the thing that keeps you going. I promise you, because the last thing I felt or looked was beautiful. You know what I mean? I had all kinds of eyebrows.
I love that. I was telling her, keep those eyebrows growing. I'm like, when you get out of here, your eyebrows are gonna look amazing.
I have my straight freedom on, really,
A few days ago, I said, babe, I want to take you out. I feel like you need some fresh air. Maybe, catch a little bit of sun. She said, okay, good. So I want to go get my eyebrows done. I want to do my hair. I'm like, all right, fine, let's do that then.
It makes you feel so good.
It does. It makes a big difference.
Huge difference. It does.
It's part of the recovery process, okay? That's all of the recovery process.
Your aunties be like, okay, so don't worry, mija, when you get your hair done, when they start throwing the subliminals, don't worry.
You'll be fine.
Okay. I'm rough right now. I'm looking crazy. So it's just, boy, guys, you can't take a whole shower when you have things like things that, you don't understand, the things you miss. It's just being able to be in the shower. You know what I mean? I can't wait for this all to be over.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Well, just, take it in stride and the recovery process. I mean, you look amazing through camera here. You sound amazing, even though it's half voice, but it really just, you can still hear it in a different sense of like, there's some,
Well, bro, I almost died and I didn't.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Life is a whole nother level for you right now.
Life is beautiful. Life is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Life is everything. 100%. I'm a different person. 100%.
Yeah. It has an impact on you. And of course, shout outs to that hospital with those staff with like medicine is amazing.
Medicine is amazing.
That is amazing himself. And then just medicine at the same time, science and those kind of things. It's just a blessing. And those people with those hands that, have to help you and did the work and those kind of things. Like those are true blessings that people have when you have the ability to do that work as well.
Right. And that's a thankless job. You know what I'm saying? Like these people have to put up with a lot of stuff, and being in a hospital for that long, you get to like hear and like see different things. And one thing that also humbled me when I thought, my situation is the worst. The world is against me. I can't believe this is happening. There were people that were like in rooms next to me that were like amputees. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when that happens, there's no coming back from that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that kind of puts you in perspective and saying, my situation is not as bad as it could be like it is for others, like
sure.
There was a situation with a woman that was on my floor that she had already lost her entire right leg, and whatever bacteria she had is now causing her left leg to go. Wow. You know what I mean? So it's like seeing things like that, walking in the room, because for therapy you have to do walks. So I would just take walks in the hallways. And I would look inside of the hospital rooms, and you kind of see familiar faces, and some people go and they come and you're still there, and all the nurses will be like, you're still here. And I'm like, that's not nice. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so, you just hear about these cases about people flipping out, about people coming out of anesthesia the wrong way, about people ripping out their IVs. Like it's the hospital is no one wants to be there. You know what I mean? But it's like, when you are there and you're there for that long and you start to see that there's people with situations that are really bad. And I became grateful at that point. Like, you know what? I'm going to actually be okay. There's people in here that this is going to be a life-changing situation that's never going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's important. And this restored my faith in a very big way. The power of prayer is very strong. And like, I would not be the person that would say that before. I'm too skeptical. I'm too factual based. I'm too sciencey in a way. So it's like, I've always had my own relationship with God, but I've never had I always had a small doubt of my own. But I feel like this experience made me remove the doubt, because I don't know how to explain it. I just can feel it. It's something you can feel. It's just.
It's had the same effect with me as well. I've had, I would say, a similar mindset as well. Mm-hmm. But it really humbled me. When you have no control and there's nothing you can physically do to make the situation better, all you have left is faith and and believing in the higher being, which is God. So it definitely had a similar effect with me as well. And I believe it had the similar effect with a lot of other people as well who really care about Diana and want to see her get better.
Even from the people that, like her doctors, their nurses, like everyone that was placed in her life during that period of time, it's like they were literally God sent. They were amazing to her, to the point that she would express herself about them to me, wow, no, she's amazing. No, you need to meet this one. He's amazing. My doctor, he's great. And like the view it was just insane.
She got the best view
in her room. It was like, I walked in and I'm like, you have God like here. Like it's like amazing.
Like the ocean.
It was just the ocean.
Oh, now see.
Like, how can you not?
It's in Miami shit. You feel me?
Like, how can you not wake
Beautiful
up?
Boats passing by.
You see, like, jet skiing, people jet skiing. Like, how can you not be grateful waking up to that view? Like, it was just like these little things that it's like God was just taking care of her in such a tremendous way. And it's just beautiful to witness.
I also believe that everything happens for a reason. we're speaking about perspective and things like that. And I really think, this whole situation has given everyone a different perspective and a great appreciation for life, for each other, for friendship, and for health. I also believe that Diana has been very, very good and very consistent and joining me in the gym. And I believe that has helped her with her recovery process, because she's, from the very beginning to now, she became a very strong individual. Well, up to the day of surgery, but she became a very strong individual, and I believe that gave her, how do I want to put it, like an advantage.
Yeah, no,
it does give an advantage. It does. It does, because ultimately, it is what it is. If you're bedridden, for any human being, you could be an Olympic gold medalist. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have a hard time getting up. But the point is that your muscle memory starts to kick in. You know what I mean? So it allows you to kind of surpass certain steps. And I knew that because the therapist would tell me, I'm surprised you can walk around the hallway 4 times this early in the game. We were expecting you to only be able to do 2. You know what I'm saying? So it's like little small things do make a difference. And I never knew how important it was to eat. Like, I swear to God, like, I don't mean that in a fat way. I mean that in a way like, food is nutrition
Food
is
is for real.
so key, man.
Like, her surgeon made a point to make sure that she consumes a certain amount of calories so that she can recover as quickly as possible. Like, it's just,
like your wound doesn't even heal.
The wound won't heal
unless you have a certain amount of calories.
Sure.
Your
Wow.
body is recuperating from everything that happened. It's constantly burning so many calories that she has to continue to eat because of the amount of calories she's burning every single day.
Yeah.
Right. Your body's in shock also from everything.
Yeah,
for sure.
100% in shock.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy that we are back.
Yeah.
That's 101. Like, this has not happened in what you say, like it's almost 2 months, that I forgot how to set it up, and I deleted things off my computer, so I had to figure this out.
I went in March, and I didn't come out until May, so we haven't done a recording since March.
Yeah,
and it's freaking June. You know what I mean? So yeah.
It's insanity. So we're excited to be back. Of course, to let you guys know everything we're taking in stride and in small steps, of course, as Diana continues her recovery. So we won't promise every week, but we'll do our best in working what we can. We will have special guests. I have a couple people lined up from the West Coast because we've been getting hit up from all sides, people wondering where we are, and just prayers because, of course, you made some posts and things like that. And you guys have been with us and following along with us, so we appreciate it. So more is to come, and we will continue adding in kind of where you are in your recovery process during every episode, keeping everyone up to date, and things that are happening and going on.
For sure. And I would say, since this is about health, guys, take care of your body. Your body's your temple. You only have one. And if you're having a hard time with something, talk about it. Reach out to your friends. Express yourself. Tell your family how you feel. And also tell people that you care about them, because you don't know what can happen. Like, I am so aware of my mortality right now that it has led me to understand that if you're going to love somebody, love them. If you're going to be friends with somebody, be their friend. If you're going to enjoy your life, enjoy it. And if you're going to claim that you're going to be a healthy person, then be a healthy person, because we literally just have one life to live. And I guess I never really believed that until I almost lost my life. So that's my takeaway from this health specific topic that we're talking about right now.
Thank you for that. And before we leave and before we finish off the podcast, we usually do our recommendations of the week.
I need you to do the jingle because I haven't heard it in a while. So please.
Oh, how did it go? Oh, it was recommendations of the week, something like that.
Right at the end. There you go.
And you did ask me while you were in your recovery process in the hospital some suggestions on Netflix, and I just started throwing off some random stuff. People don't usually like what I watch, I watch more documentaries and comedies and romantic comedies because ain't nobody got time for.
Oh my God, I saw Dating Around, by the way, while I was in the hospital.
No, you recommended College Friends, and I enjoyed it.
So good.
A lot, like a lot.
So
They
good.
I was
canceled
like,
it.
oh, that show is amazing. Yeah,
No season. They canceled it
it was hilarious.
because Netflix just does things that's not necessary.
I listened to your recommendations.
Thank you. Yeah, those. Oh man, college friends from college is amazing. Whatever it's called.
Whatever it was called, yeah.
It's amazing. So yeah, let's do our recommendations of the week, and guests also have your recommendations ready. This is for, again, we might just be on a Netflix binge. I don't know. I recently started Jailbirds, and if you haven't watched Jailbirds, it's amazing. It's hilarity. And you don't find jail's not funny. And what they were doing and what they did to get there is not funny, but it's like this where you make the best of your circumstance, right? So we're talking about this recovery process and everything Diana's been through, and you do with what you have. They literally deal with what they have. If it means touching shit that comes out the toilet in order to communicate, if it means it's dire, and they have personalities. I don't know where they found these women. I don't know where they found these men, and this triangle of love that happens in prison and they don't even see each other physically. It's just amazing. Wow. It's so fascinating how as humans, we will make the best out of anything.
We are survivors. That's what that is.
Survivors to the max. So I think that's a great show to just watch. It's pretty short and really good. And I have one more, which I recently started, Veep on HBO.
Oh, I hear it's fantastic.
Yeah, I had heard it's good. So.
Freaking hilarious. The series ended around the same week Game of Thrones ended. And literally the most hilarious show I have ever seen in my life. Because she don't give a shit. She's the vice president.
She's fantastic. I mean, shout out to Seinfeld. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
She's everything.
Yes.
She's absolutely hilarious. It's a vice president. It makes you feel like real life. Like this was made years ago, and it connects to today too easy. Oh, and you're like, how do they know 4 years ago?
Because it's all bullshit. That's why. At the end of the day.
At the end of the day. But it was just the most hilarious. It's a great, great, great show to watch. If you want to sit back and laugh. So those are my
Isn't she a cancer survivor as well, or something of that nature?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, thank you for those recommendations, and people really do actually love your taste in shows. So
thank you.
We were definitely going to check that out when I finish the series that I'm watching. Well, my recommendation is for those that I have to live through you guys right now, guys, because you know the vibe is kicking in. Everybody's barbecuing, chilling, getting drunk in the streets. It's hot again. You wearing these tight little dresses, girls. I see y'all. The guys get out the gym with the tank tops, all that. You know, like that vibe, that summertime. That I just want to be out. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna start taking these flights, and it's popping. And oh my God, guys, I'm living through you right now. Okay, so I have an actual EP that I want to recommend. Brand new artist. He is Trinidadian and Dominican. So his vibe is very island with a few queroques, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. I don't know, maybe I'm late, but it's called Flavors, and it's called Late Night Jiggy. And he has a song that I guess the most popular one is Mimosas. For those of you who might have heard it, right? So his other music is good as well, but it's a vibe. You know what I mean? So it's definitely like that type of vibe. So it kind of introduces the summer type of jazz. So I would recommend that. And you know what? Here in our podcast, and me and Marley, we love undiscovered talent. We love like the underground rappers and singers and vocalists that have dope music and like they're not played on the radio. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, I found this gem. And it's like the first time I heard Six Slack. And I was in Cali, and I was like, yo, this dude is a beast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He blew up, which is awesome. But it's just like when your artist makes it, like you feel like a personal win.
You're like, we, just me.
Yes.
I A&R'd all of this. Like me.
You almost want to say I supported him first.
Exactly.
Or when you get like real mad when people catch on, but then it gets too popular. You just,
Exactly.
Like The Weeknd. Perfect example.
what?
Perfect example.
100%.
Like as soon as like everybody got on it, I was like, all right, I don't like his music anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's a good one.
that's my recommendation. I want everybody to have like a bunch of barbecues this summer. And I want everybody to just be out there enjoying the earth, the planet, go outside, everybody get some sunlight, and just, being locked up for 50 days ain't fun. So that's what I'm calling it, was extension. So it's like you need to be outside, you need to enjoy the weather.
Yes. And guests, do you guys have any recommendations? It can be anything. It can be anything.
I love things. I like the guest recommendations. What do
Right.
guests have to recommend?
I'll let you go first, because I'm
Oh,
not.
okay. If you guys Amazon Prime, I would recommend one of my favorite shows, Sneaky Pete.
Oh yeah.
I have
That was
talked
pretty
to
good.
Diana about that show, and it is an amazing show. It's about a con artist, and he's sick, guys. Like, he's good.
He's
Like,
a good
he is really good. And they're on third season, I think.
Okay.
So, but really good show on Amazon Prime.
I've seen it, and the thing is, people forget, if you have Amazon Prime, just in general, to order things, you have their whole their whole catalog of videos and everything.
There's
People do
movies
forget.
in there.
People
You
do
forget.
forget.
You're paying $13.99 a month. You do yearly, it's a little cheaper.
Do that yearly, ladies and gentlemen.
And if it's yearly, a little cheaper. But you forget that you have Amazon Music for free.
Guys,
Yes.
let's just admit that Amazon has taken over our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shadows in the house,
Sure.
in the world.
In the
It's
world.
actually
I have-
pretty scary.
I have no comments right now on Amazon. But yes.
Pretty
Yes.
scary.
It is.
They do take over a lot.
Take advantage of your subscription.
Take advantage of the
Of
freedom
your
that we're now
entire
obligated.
subscription.
Right.
And you know what? Amazon Music app is actually really cute and like really,
It's
like,
really
friendly.
good. There's
Actually,
a lot of music. It's
it
really
does. It's really nice.
So my recommendation would be a series that I recently got into. I had no idea I was going to get into, and it started because I saw Diana watching it, and I was able to watch the very first episode, and it caught my attention, and I said, okay, here's Diana on some interesting new series on Netflix. I'm probably not going to get into it, and I'm not going to find it interesting, but it's actually pretty good. We're on episode 3 or 4?
No, we're like about to hit 5 now.
Okay, so what's it called? The Umbrella.
The Umbrella Academy.
Umbrella Academy. Perfect. Yeah, check
It's
it out.
pretty good.
Yeah.
It has a mixture of like sci-fi in a sense, because it has a superhero element to it, but it's not superhero, because I hate superhero.
Same here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just like, it was just shoved so hard down our throats for so many years that I'm just like, am I enough with the superheroes? You know what I'm
And
saying?
the movies that are coming out,
It was just too much. It was too much.
Yeah.
So that is a pretty good show.
Okay, yeah.
But anyways,
It's by the way, guys, we watch a lot of TV. You know what I mean? Like
Lately,
a
yeah.
lot of it has been on television. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's the American way.
I mean, it passes the time too. And if it's good quality television where you're not like, it's not dumbing down your brain in certain things, it's actually giving you something out of it, it's really interesting. Although I watch Jailbirds, so.
I don't think I'm necessarily learning from this specific genre, but there's things. You know what? Actually, let me actually mention something for those of you who question this religion thing a lot and have a lot of atheists out there that don't believe in God and all that other great stuff. He introduced me to an amazing professor who actually is like like I would say like a world speaker.
Yeah.
He goes to different places and he actually discusses the subject of God and religion. And he's even had debates with like Nobel Prize winning scientists.
Oxford University and Harvard. His name is Ravi Zacharias.
Okay.
Oh my God. We were watching it the other day on YouTube, and it was just so enlightening to hear, people asking him questions and saying, you know what, I don't agree with what the Bible's saying, or why does the Bible say this, and how are we supposed to believe that this is true? And all these really good questions that you wish that you could just ask a person that's educated, not like just like a person who's a leader of a church that's going to give you a version. Like he just gave you such a great response. One of my favorite responses was because a person, real quick, I don't want to like go over time. the person asked, is the Bible basically sexist? Like, is there a sexist undertone to it? Does the Bible favor a gender more than another? Very legitimate question, especially nowadays with this whole movement of equality within men and women. And us all knowing that in past history, there's always been some type of a hierarchy when it comes to the male gender versus female gender. So his response was just so freaking awesome.
We looked at each other and we were like, no one can get mad at that.
I was like, you know what? This is good. Like, it is not like gender bias. Like, just listening to his, like, he's just so, he's just so educated really that it's like, I don't know how to explain it. You know, when you're kind of a skeptic, unless you respect the person's intelligence, you're not going to take, you know what I mean?
You're not going to take it for what it is. Yeah.
So like, he's just there, you know what I mean? So it's awesome. And for those of you who are having your doubts or you just want to clarify, I think that's a great thing to watch.
My source of entertainment is YouTube, guys. I like a lot of nonfiction, a lot of factual based shows, documentaries, and things like that. So if I'm ever on a future episode and next time you guys ask me about a recommendation, it will most likely be
a YouTube channel.
Yeah, for sure.
Not some deep web YouTube though.
Yeah.
There's some other levels on there. But thank you guys again. Thank you to our special guests.
Bye, Bitcoin.
You know, since I haven't been in the community anymore, it's kind of, I feel like the outsider now that'd be like, who wants to be a part of that? Once I'm in it, I'm like, I get it. And I want to be a part of that one more time. Thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it. Our first guest is returning back. We will definitely keep you guys updated. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at Fresh Mondays Podcast. You're following us on YouTube at Fresh Mondays Podcast. Following me at Love Marley _, LUVMARLEY _ You can find Diana at
I am Diana C _ that's I am Diana C _ that's on Instagram. Make sure to also email us, guys, if you guys have any show ideas, any recommendations, if you guys want to be a part of the show, if you guys know of a topic that would be interesting for us to discuss. We do check our emails and we have received guests from that process. So make sure to reach out and feel free to DM us as well at Fresh Mondays Podcast on Instagram, because we do check that on a regular basis and we try to make sure to incorporate new talent, new ideas and new topics as much as we possibly can. Make sure to share, make sure to tell people about us, make sure to
subscribe,
to like us too, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Thank you for the double taps, absolutely, and the reposts, and for all of us that are, everybody who's listening locally, everyone who's listening in the West Coast, East Coast, everybody's listening overseas, everybody listening up in Canada, we appreciate you.
Yes, we appreciate everyone. Thank you guys again, and have a great Monday.
Happy Memorial Day.